Hey there, folks. This is Sinus with your day 10 of the Hanabi Variant-a-day. This time we're looking at Rainbow 5s and Muddy Rainbow. So, Rainbow 5, let's see if we can find one here. There's one. Okay, that means that 5s are touched by all color clues in this particular variant. And also, Muddy Rainbow is interesting. So I think we've looked at Rainbow before. We know that Rainbow is touched by all color clues, but Muddy Rainbow also means that it's incorporating the um, properties of brown. So, Muddy, it's not touched by any number clue, and Rainbow, it's touched by every color clue. So it gets pretty difficult to deal with Muddy Rainbow, or at least it requires some clever workarounds. So the long and the short of it is that whenever you are trying to save Muddy Rainbow cards, you save with red because you can't clue them with numbers. So whenever a red clue is given to a card on chop, you have to consider whether it is a save clue or a play clue. And this also makes pretty good use of loaded play clues as well. So if there's something else to do whenever a red clue is given to you on chop, then you can assume that that is a play clue, and discards known trash counts for that as well. So this is just a cursed start. There's really nothing to do here. Um, Spring has no cards to get, and what are we gonna do? So this three clue, we are playing at level 10, by the way. So we were not playing with bluffs on, which hamstrung us even a little bit more, I think. So Sinus sees this three and is like, okay, blue one, blue two. But red three bombs, and uh-oh, I guess it's entirely possible that Spring had nothing else to do, and that is true, and Sinus kind of figures that out. Spring also kind of sees that even if that red three bombs, it's kind of the best case scenario because there's another copy immediately. See, so Various gives a stall here, 5 stall, and then Cross gives ones. So the stall was given before the ones clue was given, so it's reasonable to assume that these are actually duplicated. But we'll get more information on that in a minute. Sinus likes all of these cards, like they're all good. So since Sinus hasn't been told to save anything else, they discard. Um, This is interesting. So Various discards immediately after Sinus. And normally we don't do this, and I guess this is a good time to talk about double discard avoidance. So in easy variants, generally speaking, we don't discard back to back. So Sinus discarded here, and normally Various would not be allowed to discard. But this is a special situation where the card that Sinus discarded is visible elsewhere. The reason we don't discard back to back is if this Muddy 3 discards, well, what if this is Muddy 3? Well, there's not been any opportunity for Various to receive a clue to save Muddy 3, so normally we don't discard back to back. But since Muddy 3 discarded and Various sees another copy of Muddy 3, Various does have permission to discard here. And in fact, this gives elimination notes to cross product, and you'll see Cross's notation here, M3 question mark to the right. So he wonders, are any of these Muddy 3 because they just discarded back to back? So Cross is really spooked by this and thinks that they probably have Muddy 3 somewhere in their hand, which is absolutely true. So Cross gives a fixed clue here, right? This can now only be purple 1. It was given ones earlier, which means it cannot be Muddy Rainbow. And then the purple clue says, oh, this is exactly purple 1. You have known trash here. And as a bonus, it picks up Muddy Rainbow 4. And generally, when you give these fixes, it's understood that this was a fix clue to tell this not to bomb as another 1. And this card is generally good whenever that is done. And I think this is a good pickup. Spring sees that this will make green 3, green 2, and we can finesse. Sorry, blue 3, blue 2, and we can finesse blue 1. So there it goes. That plays. And now what do we got here? Oh, okay. So Sinus gets a red clue. And so this looks, because this is red to a chop card and Sinus doesn't have anything else to do, this is probably Muddy 2 or Muddy 5. Sinus is sure that it's not Muddy 3 because it's visible elsewhere. So this is very likely Muddy 2 or Muddy 5. This could be another Muddy Rainbow card or a red card. Spring correctly has trash to discard, which is another benefit to this, as it protects 2 pretty good cards for a little while. Sinus decides to continue the blue here, right? And since this is not given as red, this is definitely not Muddy 3. And there are no other blue cards in the discard pile. So this is definitely blue 4. And this is most likely Muddy 3 based on Cross Product's previous notes. So this gets some good information out there. Go. And now we have blue 5. And Sinus is going to go ahead and get Muddy 1. So Sinus is unfortunately not really allowed to bluff here or to do anything else to get this card, which would be a little bit stronger. So they give yellow. We can't give purple, right, because that would bad touch, and we can't give green because that would wrong focus. We could maybe give blue, but blue is kind of weird. It might look like a chop move, and so I didn't want to be confusing. So I kind of made this look like a yellow 1 or a muddy 1, and it turns out to be muddy 1. There we go. Blue 5 plays. So this is a 2 save on green 2. I'm trying to think. So the problem with this specific clue is it's going to cause Sinus to discard here. What would be better actually is for Spring to discard, and Sinus already has 3 playable cards in their hand, so Sinus giving this 2 clue instead reduces the chance that Sinus will draw another playable card, whereas Spring has already had permission to discard. And in many cases, like this one, there's a workaround for that. But this is how it ended up, and now we've got purple 4, which is going to start... Well, I guess it's not the end of the world. But if it was a playable, it would have been pretty problematic. There we go. Cross product discards, and this is an example of why we don't discard back-to-back. Right? So cross product discards yellow 3, and now Spring is not allowed to discard because they don't see yellow 3 anywhere else. And sometimes, more often than you would think that it happens, this could be yellow 3. So Spring needs to give a clue on this turn. And unfortunately, we get a kind of a fill-in clue here. So this is given as blue to tell Sinus, hey, this is a Muddy Rainbow card. Now the problem is Sinus doesn't know whether this is Muddy Rainbow 2 or Muddy Rainbow 5. It could be one of those 2 things. Either way, this particular clue does not allow Sinus to play off of this. Sinus has to wait and see if this Muddy 2 plays or if it doesn't. And so Sinus is going to be forced to give a clue or discard here. Sinus sees that Spring was in kind of a rough situation, so I go back and say, hey, save this yellow 3, and this should also reveal this card is most likely to be a mud card or something else. There we go. Unfortunately, neither of these gets Muddy Rainbow 2 to play, which really spooks Sinus. Now, I think the best way to have approached this was, instead of Spring giving this fill-in clue, if they had given, say, blue to Cross Product, Cross Product already should know Muddy 3 based on contextual information about the game from earlier that we talked about. Now, Sinus is still going to discard here, and Various should see, oh, this is a continuation on the Muddy, and this card is called for, so in order to keep this from bombing as Muddy 2, Various is required to play. We'll do that. And so this clears up a lot of stuff. This would make this pretty much known Muddy 5. The only problem is that we duplicate Muddy 4 here. But the fortunate thing is, in this hypothetical, is that Cross is going to stop to save stop to save Yellow 3 here. And this card is going to look pretty suspicious at this point. And it will eventually be revealed to be Muddy the more color clues that are given. So I think that was a more clear clue, but giving blue on this just doesn't give Sinus enough information, and it also doesn't cause Various to play because Spring was in double discard. Anyway, so this is what we did. Cross is forced to 2 save here. That discards. Now Sinus is in double discard. And I decide to fill in green 2 and get this card to play as probably green 1 or Muddy 2. And it does. I was hoping that potentially Various... No, never mind. I had no hopes for this. There's Muddy 3. Perfect. This is a save on purple 4. And we're in kind of this awkward position where we have 2 yellow 1s and 2 yellow 2s. So if Sinus gives 2 the cross product, this looks kind of weird. I think this should still work, but it's extremely confusing for Various and requires a lot of logic. So the problem with this 2 clue is that it is a play clue, and this is going to play as purple 2 if nobody does anything. Now, normally Various would say, oh, this looks like a finesse on cross product. And so, even with the yellow 1 here, it's kind of weird. It's still an ambiguous finesse, and they're really difficult to manage. So I think maybe Various would play from this, but I don't know. Maybe yellow is better here instead, but that bad touches this card, right? There's just, and 2 here is just a 2 save. So it's a real tangled up mess to deal with. So Sinus decides to give a 2 save here and allow somebody else to give yellow to Various in order to get this all done. Now, Various gives a 3, and this is intended to get yellow 1, and I think they want to get yellow 2 with a fix, which I don't like this clue because it's potentially duping another 2 here, right? But this should be yellow 2 from context overall, unless something really weird has happened. So Sinus has a locked hand, so the safest thing for me to do is to save this 5 and to let this kind of play out. And unfortunately, this loses us green 3. but what can you do? There's Muddy 4 now. Since this 5 came out, this is now known to be Muddy 4. That plays. Sinus gives this with a 1. Now Various, I don't think, should be getting this 2. I think they should be trusting that this is yellow unless a mistake has been made. There we go. Yellow 3 plays. Muddy 5 plays. 1 plays. Fine. Cross product had no clues left, so they had to discard. This comes out as 1. Yeah, I guess there's nothing else that really gives more information, so that's fine. This misplays as, who knows, purple 2, I guess. I really think that Various should probably play green 2 here, because it is definitely playable. But there should also be pretty strong evidence throughout this game that this was actually yellow 2 all along. But it did require reading into the fact that there was that yellow 1, yellow 2, yellow 1, yellow 2 situation earlier, which is convoluted. Anyway, that bombs. It's not really the end of the world. This is cool. So this is telling Sinus, hey, play this 5. And so this could be a lot of things. Sinus is pretty sure that this is purple 4 and purple 3 is well known. So Sinus has to wait and see if this purple 2 plays. If this purple 2 does not play, then I guess maybe it could be red with like a red 4. Nope, red 4 is down here. So I think Sinus probably knows straight away that this is a purple finesse. The red plays, that red plays. This is weird. I think purple 2 should be playing here. That discards because we're out of clues. This is continuing red. Sinus is not going to play that 5 off of this because no 5s are playable. So we're going to wait around. And there we go. Purple 2 gets played. Now everything's fine again. There are the yellows. Sinus discards. Because there's no other choice at this point. Plays, that plays. This plays. This plays. Alright, so this is a 4 calling for Sinus's green 3. This is a 5 clue. Right, but this is definitely a 5 play clue. Sinus plays into it. And unfortunately, it's just cursed that we had too many cards left to play, not quite enough efficiency, not quite enough tempo. So we got 29 on that one. I really wanted to give this more tries, but I only had time to give it 1 try, and I don't want to get too behind on videos. I'm already behind on videos, but I'm catching up today. So yeah, I am fairly certain that we could nail that one in another try, but I got to get moving on. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.